Steve A. Erickson, the author and illustrator.
Oh, that's me.
Yes, that's you, of a very chilling mystery. And where do animals go for vacation? That's the questions we have to answer today. What happens?
You know, I always enjoy a chance to talk about me. No, not really. Not really. So,
well, I do want to talk about you first.
Oh, okay.
How did this all come to be? How did you end up writing a children's book?
Well, I tell you what, the idea for both of these actually came to me about 15 years ago. And I had the audacity to be holding down a real job at the time as a creative director. And so, you know, I made sketches and little bits of text, and I thought, well, maybe someday. And then I had the pleasure of retiring about 5 years ago. You'll look forward to that. It's a great gig. And I thought, well, if I don't do this now, when will I do it? And I have the pleasure of having 6 wonderful grandchildren. So I basically wrote them for them.
Yes.
If you want to talk specifically about the first book.
Yes, please.
When I was a kid, I was a very curious child. And I always wondered what went on behind
when
the refrigerator
light closes,
door.
When the door
we had
closes
one of
and the light
those,
goes
you know,
off?
rounded Frigidaire, and I would close it very slowly, and I never knew. Who knows?
Who knows? Well, do you find out?
You do, actually. Children will find out. Parents will find out. Grandparents will find out. I've had some really fun stories since that's been produced about people telling me their grandchild or daughter or son sneaks past the refrigerator and then opens it. One actually took their grandmother's cell phone, put it on video mode.
Very smart.
Put it in the refrigerator, closed the door, and claimed that the light went off. I don't believe it for a minute. So that's always been fun, and getting the responses is one of those things that you think about doing just to purge it, but I never really anticipated the response I got, which is really wonderful, really fun.
And now you have 2 books.
Now I have 2 books.
When was this one released?
That one was released last year. It's still in the first printing. Yeah, I had this idea of one animal and where they might go on vacation. That's actually the first one here, the turtle. And I thought, well, what if I took that a little further? Where would all the other animals go? And so that was a bit of an exercise mentally.
And so that one, the idea came, and then the illustrations.
Yes, the idea comes, then the text. Have you memorized it yet?
I haven't done. I will do a monologue, a reading of it later for everyone.
But what's really been fun about that book is, as with both books, I've done multiple readings in libraries and schools and things like that. Is on that book, I'll be sitting in front of a bunch of kids, and I'll go, okay, the next animal is a shark. Where does a shark go on?
And they guess. Yes.
You know, and they all have ideas, which is really great. So I go from animal to animal, and they get so engaged in it. And then they'll come up to me afterwards and go, well, what about a chimpanzee? Where would that go?
You need a book 2, part 2.
Book part 2. So that's been something that's been very fun that I did not anticipate.
And, you know, fostering that creativity in kids. And
exactly.
And also educating. There's a lot to learn about animals.
Here's a little snippet. I finished the book, and somehow it felt like it was incomplete to me. So I thought, what if I add little fun facts about each animal? So you see that in each corner.
Yes.
And what has been surprising to me is that instructors, librarians, things like that say, that's the best part. Oh, come on now. No, they're just so glad that I did that.
That you have a little fact.
Yeah, a little factoid about each animal.
Penguins travel hundreds of miles searching for food.
I know, instead of sitting on the beach with their fishsicles. So,
where can people get these books?
Those books are available, of course, online. Barnes & Noble stocks them here, as well as one of your favorites, Bart over at Next Page Books.
Next Page Books, yes, my favorite.
Bart's been a good supporter of my books, so you can get them. They're out there. Prairie Lights, Barnes & Noble in Dubuque has some. I'm actually doing a book reading there next month.
Yes, I know, so we'll look out for that.
Yeah.
And
so
you'll have all that info on your website.
I do. Well, I will, because they tell me when it is, but not specifically.
Okay, so we'll look out for that on your website and your social media. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me and letting me talk about myself.
We love that. That's what it's all about.
I know.
And come back. Where do animals go for vacation, part 2?
Part 2. All right, rock and roll.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Thank you. All